Hello everyone, my name is Teacher Lena and I am an ESL online teacher. And in this video, I wanted to talk to you about something a little different this time. But I just wanted to talk about my experience as an ESL online teacher to children in China during the coronavirus. So this has been a very crazy time in our lives as people living in America, people living in the world, people all over. We all know about this coronavirus that is just taking over and it is affecting everyone in the world. And how does that affect me as an ESL online teacher? It's been kind of interesting because although people here in America, we watch a lot of these things on TV and we see what's happening in China, what started in China. But, most of what contact we have with the whole experience is what we see on TV. And now, of course, the virus has moved here to America, and so we see people being affected here. But actually, talking to children in China gave me a little different perspective than most people were able to have because I teach to children every morning. I have relationships with children, adults who live in China. And actually, one of my students um, was in Wuhan when everything first started. And she emailed me just to tell me, like, Teacher Lena, I was in Wuhan when this whole thing broke out, and they wouldn't let me come back because she was actually a student here in America and she was practicing her English, and she couldn't leave Wuhan to come back to America and finish. Her and her husband were in school here, and so she had to stay, and she was able to help her family, but it was just like the perspective that I've gotten as a teacher teaching to children and to adults in China has been very interesting. Now, sometimes the children, they cannot talk about what's happening. They don't understand. They just know there's no school. And I'll ask them, how was your day today? What did you do? And, they'll tell me home, you know, I stayed home. Did you go to school? No, I did not go to school. No, no school. So many of them had to stay in school for a long time at first, and now our children are in school too. But when it first began, the children in China would tell me that they were at home, and they would explain to me how their schooling was taking place in China, and they started out with the e-learning, and many of their teachers would give them homework to do at home. And one of my students, his mom did not want him going outside at all, so he stayed inside for a whole 30 days. And then after 30 days, they went outside for a little bit, for like 5 minutes, and he was able to go out like every few days for just a few minutes. So I mean, really tight quarantine situations were happening. And then when the epidemic came to America, the parents start asking me questions. Like, they're not asking, and they're concerned about us as teachers. And they're, asking, are you okay? Is your family okay? Have you been affected? And in their little broken sentences, they're saying, teacher, teacher, are you okay? Teacher, teacher, sick? You know, I mean, it's just so touching to hear the families and the students concerned about us now, the same way that we were concerned about them. So that is just, you know, that's been very interesting. And, it's unfortunate, but it's just to be able to talk to these people on the other side of the world and hear what they're going through and just see their lives and hear, what they can't do, and, how some of them are excited about not going to school, and some of them really miss their classmates. I mean, that was really interesting. But now it's all flipped, and now we are the ones who are at home, and our children may or may not be missing their classmates at this time. So how did that affect me as a teacher? How did that affect my business or my class bookings? Well, it was really um, a change. It changed drastically. Unfortunately for business, it increased for me as a teacher and for many ESL online teachers. I mean, the bookings went through the roof, and the companies were asking teachers and giving them incentives for taking on more classes, because now all the students in China were at home and they wanted to take more online classes, and some of those classes were English classes. So business really just took off, and companies that weren't even offering classes maybe for their mornings and our evenings were now offering classes in the evenings, the mornings, it's all times of the day. So we as teachers had our pick of classes that we wanted to teach, and it was really, a great time financially to be able to teach more classes. So that was a good thing. Many of the companies were giving a lot of bonuses for hiring more teachers. Many of the companies were teaching through the night for us, where they wouldn't normally. I mean, you can teach all through the night. It was just really crazy. And then if you'd sign up to work for certain time slots, they'd give you a bonus for working certain time slots because they were very popular time slots. So, I mean, teachers got a lot of work in during that time. And many of the companies are still hiring now because, the children still are not all in school. There's a few of them that have gone back to school. I don't know the exact number or, what percentage, but there's still a lot of children who are at home, and companies are still hiring. It has slowed down now. It's not as active as it once was, but, it is still very, active. The business is very active. And now that so many of us American teachers and parents and workers are at home, it's something to think about. Like, maybe this is something that you might want to explore doing now that you're at home. Maybe some of you have thought about teaching online and just didn't really find the time or have the time to really sit down and figure out what is it that I need to do if I wanted to start doing this online. Well, now if you have more time, and many of us do at home, you can, start to explore what is it like to teach online, because not only are there more bookings now, you have more time to do it. So many companies, like I said, are hiring. If you have a bachelor's, or if you don't have a bachelor's, there's different ways that you can teach. Some companies require a bachelor's. Some companies do not require a bachelor's. Many companies want you to have a certificate, which is a TESOL or a TEFL, but some companies do not, if you're interested, I can help you if this is something that you think that you might want to do just to make some extra money while you're at home. I'm leaving in my description box below, the companies that I'm familiar with that hire for people who have bachelor's degrees, who don't have bachelor's degrees, who have TESOLs, and for companies that you can work for if you want to teach adults, if you want to teach children. There's many different companies where you can teach English, and you don't have to be, excuse me, you don't have to be an English teacher or, specific type of teacher or have your bachelor's in a specific area. Actually, you don't. You can teach with just a bachelor's in science. If you have a bachelor's, that they would accept that. If you have a bachelor's in art, it doesn't have to be something specific to teaching or for children in order to be accepted. So if you have experience with children, that is definitely helpful for most companies. But there are some companies you don't have to have experience. You just need to have a welcoming, warm personality in order to teach to people in different countries, teach English to people in different countries. So if you have extra time and if you want to make some money during this time from home, and if you have stable internet connection, If you have, headset, you need to have a headset in order to do this, a webcam, and obviously a computer. But with these things, you can get started teaching online right now during these strangest of times. So, something to consider. And I'm here to help those who have questions, to help you along the way. If you use any of my links down below, these are links that of companies that I work for, so I can give you, my perspective for the company, and I can help walk you along in the process and give you some tips along the way. So, something to consider. So I hope you and your family are doing well during this time and that you're being safe and healthy. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.